Test. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the New Generation Sobriety Podcast. Today, we're joined by Alternative Highs. His name's Dustin. We just met today, so he just interviewed me on his show. I'll throw the link to that in the description here. Big shout out to Sober Strong Apparel. Use code NewGen10 for 10% off all orders. And just an FYI for people in Canada, he is working on getting some shipping to Canada figured out, or like a home base in Canada kind of thing. But right now, with like all the tariffs and everything, it's just he's only shipping in the States, I believe. But if you do need anything, you can order through me. I go pick up packages and stuff in the States, so you can do that. And today we're just going to dive a little bit into Dustin's story. We've seemed to related on a lot of things so far, and the age difference I've realized today, especially, is like not important. It's like no matter what age you are, like I'm 20. Most of the people I meet in AA that I relate to, a lot of the guys I hang out with are double, triple my age, and from what I've heard from Dustin's story is it's been pretty inspirational so far. So I can't wait to hear it myself, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So let's get right into it. You want to just tell everybody a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you?
Yeah, for sure. Dustin Gawne. Before I start anything, I just like to tell your audience, like, it is really impressive what you're doing and how you're doing it and the effort you're putting in, because like I said before, that age is really hard to get that, because it's a very niche market. It's very there, but it's very niche.
Yeah, like I mentioned in your episode, man, like when I was getting sober, I was looking for young alcoholics or young addicts on the internet or YouTube, and it's like you said, very slim pickings. So
it's wild, and
I do appreciate that, though.
That's kind of why, like, I won't dive into. I'll just go 10 years back. 10 years ago this Christmas, I was in a single car accident, and I didn't have much luck. The tree did not give, and the ditch did not show me. So I was stuck there for some time. I can remember laying in that ditch. I had the motor back on my lap, and I just thought I had severed half of my body, so I didn't really know what was going on. I was in and out, and I got airlifted to London Hospital, where I was. They had to do a emergency spinal cord.
Now, do you remember all of this stuff? Like, were you like blacked out kind of thing when this was happening?
I was in and out.
So like you remember parts of it?
Yeah, I can remember, flicking the airbags, the side airbags, and being like, yo, thanks. But I mean, it was very in and out. So they did emergency surgery. I've got 2 titanium 15-inch rods on either side of my spine. When I was released from, well, not released, when I came to, they had told me that I wouldn't walk again, and I was paralyzed, and I didn't have any feeling from the waist down. And as you can imagine, when you receive that kind of news, it's heartbreaking, it's terrifying, and then some people are different, but I went right to the mindset of, how do I kill myself?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Like, what was going through your head when you realized, like I might not ever be able to walk again, kind of thing?
It was.
If you don't mind sharing a little bit.
Yeah, no. So I'm in a hospital. It's
in London, right?
I'm in London. It's very comparable to, and people can. This is an unpopular opinion, but it's comparable to being in jail. It is the most heartbreaking place I've ever spent that amount of time in.
When were you there again? Sorry, I don't know if you said.
Man, between London, Chatham, back to London again, I was probably 4, 5, 6 months, somewhere in there.
Now, were you in like a relationship at this time, or were you single?
I found out that I was in kind of a relationship. That's a funny question because my dad made a phone call to somebody who I thought I was in a relationship with, and it had just been a date. And turned out I got into a relationship for a month or so while I was in the
Oh,
hospital.
bro.
But
Jeez.
yeah. So when I learned that I wasn't going to walk again, right to negative town,
How could you not, right? Like,
you have zero choice and chance to think anything through. And again, this is just a lot of people are so different, and some people can see the world much differently than I can. But at this point of my life, I was already an alcoholic. I was already using drugs. Um, it wasn't until later that I would turn everything up. But as I was sat in that hospital, um, there's all kinds of doctors coming at you, nurses. There's people coming at you for legal, and then I had the cops there for, I was running no insurance and no license. Um, so like I gotta worry about.
did you get any DUIs?
No, so I was on my way to party. I had been out the night before, and I was too hungover to get started that early. So thankfully, I was sober during the car accident. But I mean, the charges could have been endless on that. The police officer decided to give me a break on all of it. Figured I'd been through enough, and
Yeah.
I think I got a no license or something simple. But back to finding out in the hospital, it was a daunting process because all these people are sitting there telling you what you're gonna feel, how you're gonna feel, and like you just don't want to be a part of any of this. So I became extremely depressed. Um, the hospital, there's not a whole lot to say about the hospital. It just sucked. It was a really awful time. Um,
Yeah, as much as I enjoyed being at the detox program and getting sober, like hospital food, like it does suck, right?
well,
It's just
there's not much of a story there.
yeah,
The story is, you know, there was one cool part to it. I'm a hockey player as well, and I was back then. I was just playing men's rec league, beer league, and we had this guy. We called him Holy the goalie. He was pastor at a church in Richtown. We all had fun. I don't go to church at that time. I didn't even know what I believed in, and my dad had asked if Holy the goalie could come in, and I was like, ah, you know, whatever. Do
yeah,
your thing, Dad. If
yeah.
it'll make you feel better, I'll do this for you. So this dude came in, and I love this guy. He's actually on my podcast next week. We just talked for the first time in 10 years.
Nice,
He
nice.
said, Dustin, can I pray with you? Do your thing, homie. Do you? Put his hand on my leg, and he started to pray. And no word of a lie, my big toe fired. Wild.
Dude, I know this might sound crazy, and like that's amazing to hear, and I have a similar experience with that as well. Like with this back pain I've been going through,
Yeah, yeah.
like the one day or 2 days in a row, it was so bad I couldn't get out of bed. I had to call someone and come help me get out of bed.
Damn it.
And I remember going to an AA meeting, and the one guy told me, he said like you might, like, he said the same thing to me. He said, you might not believe me, but like I've been dealing with this back pain for 40 years. And he said, like every week I say once a week I say like this spiritual prayer. Like he's not all that, he's not Christian or anything, but he says this prayer
Yeah.
to whatever his higher power is, and then he feels better for
Yeah.
like a couple days. Like the pain goes away like that.
Some
Like
things are just wild,
and
man, and unexplainable and
and
don't need
for
explanation.
sure, man. And like I said, I've been doing a lot of research, and like all I listen to is like Christian stuff or sober stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm very plugged into this network, and I've been hearing stories like ministries and like preachers have been saying like how they go out and pray for people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing it. I've been when I was in Virginia, we handed out waters to people like on the street and stuff,
Yep.
and shared the gospel and stuff. But
Yeah.
like the power of prayer, man, is insane. And
It broke my brain that day.
the fact
And
that you Right, you moved your toe for like the first time, and how long was it? Like,
It wasn't too long after. I don't remember the exact time. It was probably a month. It was.
still
It's
yeah.
still, when you're in that setting,
And for someone that
everything is
doesn't believe, right? Or
yeah.
you didn't know that what you
The,
believed in, right?
yeah, and I'd say I was an atheist. I don't know where I stood. I was just trying to be against the grain.
Yeah, for sure.
So I get released from the hospital. They put me into a nursing home because I can't quite take care of
Is this in
myself.
London or in Chatham
No,
now?
I'm in Sarnia,
Sarnia, okay.
and in the very first week, go septic, rush to the hospital, have
I've
surgery.
heard that before. Can you remind me what that means?
Heavily infected. So my coccyx, the backside upper like tailbone, it got really infected. It was a bed sore from not being turned, and I ended up back in the hospital again. That was awful. My poor mother would not let me go back, and she decided to take care of me. She would have rather to take care of me. I just, I was 32 years old. I didn't want. I just wanted to be my own person, and I knew that this was going to be a drag. So I wasn't real excited about that. And that's when I started working on. I stayed with my parents for probably about a month and a half, couple months after that, um, before my legal team found me my own spot here in Chatham because I am a rich town boy. I've got I grew up in a small town and where everybody
Good old
knows everything.
Richtown.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a lot of drunken memories in Richtown.
That's the only stuff I have from.
I don't think I've been to Richtown sober.
Nah, barely me either. So yeah, I move into Chatham. I hadn't drank since the hospital, so like 6 months,
Okay,
no
and
booze,
and
no
that was like,
drugs, no pill. Well, I'd been on pills. Like
was that like, sorry if you already mentioned this, I'm not sure, but did you do that with like AA or anything, or were you
no,
just strictly in the hospital at that
it
point?
was just strictly hospital. It was nothing.
You just like
I
had
just
no
didn't have.
choice.
I
You
had no
couldn't.
choice.
Okay.
Yeah. So the moment I could, I did,
It's kind of
and
like when you said it's kind of like being in jail. Like I remember having a thought when I was a kid, hitting a vape for the first time. I'm like, you're gonna have to put me in a cell and take this from me if you want me to stop. Like,
yeah. Well, that's literally that was the only. And I mean, at that point, it was a problem. It wasn't something like I was a functioning
yeah,
alcoholic in the union where most of us were functioning
yeah,
alcoholics
yeah.
in the union. So um, at that point, I turned up. I almost immediately started drinking every day again. You know, I'd moved into.
And you couldn't walk at this point, right?
So I'm on a walker slash wheelchair.
Okay.
So moving around a little bit. I start like I'd been into cocaine already. I'd started using a lot more cocaine.
Tell
Um,
us a little bit about that. Like, is this what was that like? You were living in Sarnia,
nope, I'm back in Chatham
back in
here.
Chatham. Okay.
So I meet up with one of my homies and um, we just landed on partying.
Like, what did a typical night look like for you? Like,
Oh,
would you
daily.
like?
It was week. It wasn't like a few times a week. It was Monday to Sunday.
And what would one of
My
those
spot.
nights like an average
So
night look like? Like, were you going to like Elephant's Nest and then to Spanky's, then to your dealer,
so
or
I threw the parties.
okay,
I was the I was in a wheelchair. I had a nice spot. I had money, and I just we'd go to the bars once in a while, but you could do a lot more drugs in my house than you could out and about.
yeah,
So that was my main thing, was just getting high and drunk. So I was started abusing pills. When you leave the hospital with this type of injury, they tend to put you on everything and anything, and whatever you don't need, they might throw you on that as well, just because it's a payday.
that's why I get scared with my back, dude, because like
It's
I when I heard it at work the other day, like when you just know something's wrong.
yeah.
Like I had to go to the hospital and I was like, she offered me some painkiller and I asked her, I said, is this like a narcotic? Can I get addicted to this? And She told me yes, and I explained to her that I'm in recovery and everything, and that I've never done drugs, but like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything that I could get addicted to.
Yeah,
So she
dude.
gave me like a muscle relaxer and something else, but
Yeah,
it's not like that's a big fear of mine
it's
is
terrifying.
having to be put on something like that because of
It's
my pain.
it's a full-time job.
Yeah, man.
I like just this past summer, I broke this heel, broke this foot, and I did it. I just had to live through it.
Yeah,
There wasn't any pain meds I could take because I've got an addiction problem.
yeah,
But
for
back to
sure.
Chatham. This this carried on for a little while till it got turned up a little bit more. Moved into a new house that I could. It was much cheaper than what I was living. My lawsuits getting turned up. I just moved a couple blocks from where we're filming at today. Uh, the plug, my drug dealer, needed a spot, so I moved him in with me to make life a little cheaper, a little more efficient. We turned up the party scene. We turned up the the trafficking. It was that door was a revolving door. Um, it didn't last too long before we got raided. We were all charged with trafficking crack cocaine. There was a few other charges given as well, and that was scary, but it wasn't. It didn't like I was let out of jail fairly quickly, maybe within a couple hours that evening. I had drugs delivered to my house that night. They're watching my house, and I just that's how much I didn't care at this time. Um, Shortly thereafter, I OD'd. I started smoking crack, and I was really hitting my pills much more than I even was getting pills for. So now I'm purchasing other pills, and so I OD'd. When I came to, I seen my kids and my niece's pictures, and I am a father, obviously. I had fallen off as a family man, and in that moment, I thought to myself, my kids, my nieces don't deserve that man. They deserve so much better, and you know, bless all their hearts that they all still speak to me. But it was that was the moment that kind of clicked for me. Man, about a month and a half later, I was uptown, my hometown, and this beautiful soul named Colleen Anderson was called Colleen Galbraith when I was a kid. She took care of me on PA days, and she'd just been somebody that whenever she would come back home, I would be excited to see. To this day, I still get happy to see her, and she's in my life.
She's an amazing person. I know
Um,
her too.
yeah, where we're filming is her and her husband's doctor's office, and she just said to me that day, she's like, I was high and drunk. She said, Dustin, maybe it's time to come and see my husband. I knew of Jody, but I didn't know the Jody, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
And this guy, I had no idea what I was getting ready to embark on. But I came in to his office open minded, drunk and high, showing up. I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day at that time, 60 ounce of vodka, 8 ball of Coke, whatever, plus all the pills.
Yeah.
And I I met Jody, and I was starting to miss appointments because I have a don't give a fuck attitude at this point. And Jody just said, man, shit or get off the pot. There are so many people that need your spot right now, and you're shit in the bed. I made a decision. That was, we met July the 5th. He had that conversation with me mid August. August the 17th is my sobriety. I just did 7 years of sobriety this past summer.
Praise God.
And it is a full-time job. You know, there's when you sober up and you have a spinal cord injury, you need to figure out how you're going to take care of that. Thankfully, I have Jody. He helps me with that. Everything when you're this type of spinal cord injury, there's no getting away from it. So like when I tell you, like, I sat in some parking lots of this liquor store, and I've looked up drug dealers' numbers. Like, it's hard work what I do, what we do,
Yeah, every day,
how
man.
anybody that's in sobriety, it's not easy.
For sure, man. Like
So
three
like
three
how
years
you
in.
said that you couldn't find somebody to who is going through it. It's a very niche market having a spinal cord
I
injury.
bet, dude.
There's not a whole lot, and there was even COVID hit. You know,
And if I'm not wrong, like I don't think there's two spinal cord injuries that would be the same. Like your spinal cord injury is going to be different from Joe's,
everybody's
right?
got a
Like
little
it's
bit different. You
so
know,
there's no manual on how to live.
you're an older
Yeah,
person. You're put back in a diaper. You're
yeah,
trying to learn how to walk. Like when I describe myself to people, I am a baby doe with
yeah.
a deer in headlights. It is. I'm learning to walk. If you've got a 2-year-old at home, picture that, and just one that's able to speak a little more clear,
Yeah.
because it's rough. I'm still having a hard time getting around. You saw me try to navigate through here. I forget where I was at with the story, but it's
You're talking about how Jody helped you with your
so
injury, and after you met Colleen.
so when this all came to, I was 300 pounds. I'd let life get me. I had become lazy, and I just been comfortable. And the thing with sobriety and the thing with living with a spinal cord injury is you need to learn to live life in discomfort. So Jody and I had talked about, a different lifestyle, and he's always given me pointers. I just wasn't ready to accept it yet. I came into the office. This is just pre-COVID. I said, Jody, can I get jacked? I said, I'm not liking who I am. He goes, why are you asking me? Yeah. The people have this preconceived notion that when you're in my head, I'm broken. I can't do anything. And I put myself in this box, and we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And we live inside that box, and then we become complacent, and we become lazy and lethargic, and just all the grossness comes with that.
Yeah, our mind's like our worst enemy, dude. Like,
And it doesn't have to be. So Jody said, yeah. And I started making this plan. And like that, COVID hit. And then Jody had never put his hands on me. Jody does a very special type of service, red light, and it had brought me to be able to do what I was able to do at that time. The first day of COVID, Jody was fighting himself. What am I going to do? His youngest son asked him what he was going to do, and he said, I'm going to show up." And I was an hour away, and I showed up to his office that day, and he said, today we're going to try something different. He put his hands on me that day, and no shit, that day my body kind of unlocked for itself. I was putting my knees up to my chest. I was walking around.
wow,
I was doing this. Everybody in the office was crying. I'm crying. Jody's crying.
that's amazing.
And it just so happens that the police officer that found me in the ditch was in the office that day. Wild.
Isn't that wild, man?
Wild. And
Can I
there's going to
jump in
be
for one
more
sec?
to that story, because there's something I forgot to tell you real quick. When I got arrested for trafficking, the officer who handed the warrant out, about 3 years later, I made a post in front of that same house because it has the big ding on the door. And the police officer who handed me that warrant was a CERT officer, so he had a face mask on. And he popped up into my Facebook, and he said, I remember this night very clear. I was there and I handed the warrant, and he went in to tell me the story. We've since done a podcast together. We've since became extremely good friends. We golf together.
It's awesome,
We get
man.
together. So these people who I've always thought were against me keep doing these really great things.
Yeah, for sure.
And now this guy is seeing me, who decided to not give me all those tickets that I so much deserved,
Yep.
seeing me in a different light, which is the win for a police officer,
For
because
sure.
they don't really get to see the
No, yeah,
wins.
they see a lot of messed up stuff. So seeing stuff
And
like that is the
that
positive,
was
right?
my coolest gift that I could have given to him, because I didn't see any of this coming.
That's awesome, man.
I birthed Excuses Are Gone, play on my last name, no more excuses. 300 pounds. I don't want to be this anymore. So I did this 25-day, 100-kilometer challenge during COVID. And we're out there on day 2, and I got these older ladies coming up to me, and they're like, we're following you. We're doing your challenge. And then I had this other mother find me on another path, and she asked me to help her son. And I was like, listen, it's very kind and very sweet of you, but your son needs to want this more than you want this.
Yeah.
And I gave my number. We became friends. And you know how you said that one person, if you just can help that one person, that's been my goal.
Yeah.
It just so happens that one person ended up being that mother's son.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen right away. And I'll get to that, but put that pin there, because that's my most special story I have. So I did the 25-day, 100-kilometer challenge. I ended up doing over 1,000 kilometers that summer. And Jody's now, he's really paying attention. He's like, oh shit, this kid's wild. So are you familiar with Rondeau?
Yeah.
You know Rondeau Bay?
Yeah.
I grew up out in Rondeau, and I've heard hundreds, if not thousands, of people talk about swimming Rondeau Bay from end to end. I said, you know what? Let's do this. I got my mom and dad to get on the Sea-Doo, and they followed me for 6.5 hours as I swam across the bay.
Seriously?
I swam the bay. I don't know another soul that's done it. Sure, they've done it, but I don't know anybody. So that's one of my flexes I got.
That's
and
crazy.
then
And 6 hours of swimming.
Yeah, I would never in a million years will I do that ever again. I was sick for 3 weeks after. But with that came all these people. This one dude, this really amazing man, Bruno, came into my life. And he's 65 years old. He does more Ironmans than guys that are in their 20s and 30s. Yeah, I think he's going to have 10 under his belt by end of year.
Crazy.
He is wild. And he brought me a bike. And I can remember looking at this guy and thinking, you ignorant piece of fuck. I was pissed. It's like, who do you think you are passing me a bike? I'm walking, but it's like it's a shuffle.
Yeah.
I can barely get my leg up. Lo and behold, I got on that bike. And then that bike took me places that my legs no longer could. And I became this whole new man. I had this whole new perspective. I was untouchable in that particular time of my life. I started taking my fitness a lot more serious. And then I got researching other things on how to become more vigilant towards that. Not vigilant, it's not the word I wanted, but I wanted to understand my body better, how I could make this work. And people are starting to notice this. Jody and I asked him if he wants to partner up, because I'm getting ready to bike across Canada. I teamed up with a few big places. Won't say their names because we fell through. I ended up having a very close friend who when you sober up and you have to distance yourself from people, it was visible. I had to do that with him. He called me a few years later and he asked me to take him to a doctor's appointment, and that doctor's appointment turned into a 3-month before he would pass. He'd asked if I would spend it with him. And through that time, I'd given a ride to a family member during COVID, and I ended up getting third-degree burn from a heated car seat on my ass. And that obviously kiboshed my cross Canada dream, my sponsorships, my partnerships, everything fell through the cracks. I became depressed again, became very sad. And I managed to stay in the gym. Fitness is very important to my mental health and my sobriety. But I was super sick. I went septic again from the burn, and I'm not able to bike, which is a huge part of my life at this time. Jody and I would come together. He actually is the reason why I did not die when I went septic. He took over from the other doctors, and he healed me. He did his thing here, and I am so grateful for that, man, because who knows where that would have been. And today, I'm back biking. I'm back using my story to help me. And I recently had that son of the mother on my podcast. Now, it took him a couple years to reach out to me, but when he reached out, he was ready. And then we started the work. And there's not a whole lot of work. It's either you want it or you don't want it.
Yeah, for sure.
I took a different approach than you. I didn't do AA, I didn't do the treat. I personally know how my brain works, and I have to do it. Nobody, I can't be told.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
everybody's has their way, right?
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And there's no shitting on it.
And
There's no wrong way.
right way. Exactly.
I'm not, I just know what I can do. And
For sure.
me and this kid have such a special bond now. He wrote me a very beautiful letter to put on my website about how we worked together and how I helped. And his mother comes and sees me all the time, thanks me. His brother is very much a part. That family has become my family through my purpose. My purpose is just telling my story, helping others. And that's the only thing I want to do now. I don't care how it looks, what it looks like, how we get there. Right now, I'm getting ready to revive a project with sick kids. I'm going to bike from Windsor to Toronto, raise $1 million for sickle cell research facility at sick kids, and then I'll start looking for more charities that I can get behind and work with.
Sweet.
That is the short, long version of my story.
Yeah, that's a very powerful story. I'd love to have you on again to get more of the story and get more into detail. Because one thing, like you said, have you ever been to AA at all, or no? Okay, so one thing, like, it's crazy from an outside perspective. It's like a bunch of people that can't control their drinking come together and they don't drink, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. But anyways, what I was saying, they don't like when you give drunken logs or say, like, they don't care how much you drank, how much you used, or what happened. Really, like, they care about what you're going through right now and what the steps. Like there's like a kind of format to it. There, you can go there and say whatever you want, but like at the end of the day, like they don't like when you are like saying your drunk stories, right? But on this platform, I feel like we can get into some of that, and because it's not all bad, but and sometimes, like,
there's learning moments in all
exactly
the stories.
like the what's the word I'm looking for, the extremeness, I guess, of what we were doing in our addictions.
Yeah,
it's hard to say out loud on and put out to the world, but it's the truth and it needs to be heard, right? Like, some people need to see and hear how bad it really got, right?
Listen, like, it's my story is no different than the next person's story. I'm able to tell the story,
Be honest,
and be honest about it. And like, I never pissed too many people off, and I don't have to have that worry if I tell the story.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like a lot of people kind of look at me, and I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some people are like probably thinking, like, or I've had people ask me like, don't you care? Like, are you sure you want to use your real name kind of thing, like stuff like that. And it's like, for me, it's like in the industry I work in, like I could get a job with a criminal record. Like, I don't think me getting sober is going to affect me in a negative way. Right. Like,
Well, I said this earlier, and I'm gonna stick by it. It sober is not the way it was viewed back 20 years
no,
ago.
I know it's
It's
different.
it's cool now. You know, people appreciate it. The younger demographic for me, and I don't go anywhere and have anybody say anything that would be out of pocket. It's always really cool, and my interactions with your age group is even cooler. Helps that I have a son your age,
Yeah.
but it also helps that all my friends' kids think what I'm doing is cool. So like there isn't it's not like 20, 30 years ago
Yeah,
where you couldn't have mental health problems. You know,
for sure.
I just went through a very public mental breakdown this summer. I told you I broke my heel, broke my foot. I was supposed to leave for that bike ride with sick kids September. I didn't make the ride. I had to cancel it because of everything that went on. By divine intervention, I had an even better day that was supposed to happen, which led me to believe I wasn't supposed to cancel this and I'm just supposed to wait
Yeah.
a little bit. I'll take care of that in the new year, and I have an obligation. I'm not a guy that's gonna walk away from that. So for me, it's figuring things out. What's the lesson that I was supposed to learn from breaking that foot, breaking that heel? What was I supposed? And for me, it was realizing that not everything's meant to be. You know, you thought about that time where you lost your box and you spent 2 hours. What did you miss in that 2 hours? That's where my mind goes. I'm like, what did I? And I don't put a lot of thought. Like I don't bug myself about it, but I realize that everything's done for a
Yeah.
reason. This was done for a reason. I wasn't supposed to do it.
Yeah.
That's fine. I met somebody really great that day, and it changed my life for the better. So
In my opinion, God doesn't say no to something without saying yes to something else, or He doesn't close one door without opening a bunch of other doors for you. You know.
yeah,
So yeah, is there anything like? Thanks so much for coming on. We got to cut it a little short because I know you got plans, but we're gonna do a part two soon. And
I'm definitely
is there
open to
anything
it.
else you want to add, throw in there before we close it out?
Just keep up what you're doing. It's not going
Appreciate
to
you.
be easy. There's going to be don't let the don't let the outside noise dictate what you're going to do with this,
For
because
sure, man.
what you're doing is powerful and it's important, and it's I think it's the fucking coolest thing ever,
Dude, I
especially
appreciate
at
it.
that age, man.
Thank you very much, bro.
Do your thing,
Thanks for
homie.
coming on, man.
Anytime.
Thanks everybody for watching. And shout out Jody. Um, Take care, everybody.